Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Napoli end up getting the 3 points against a team that was rock bottom of the Serie A. What a struggle that was. What a painful first half. A first half that Genoa went into the lead, took it into the halftime break, and Napoli in the second half was a much better team, a much more um, a team that created a lot more chances, but still against this Genoa, we shouldn't be working that hard to get the 3 points. And to be fair, we got the goals, we managed to do well, but there's aspects of the goals that we scored that were a bit scrappy. We were a bit fortunate to come away with those 2 goals, even though we had some moments of quality there as well with Spinazzola, with De Bruyne, good good things leading up to the moment the ball went in the box. But then it's true that when the ball was in the box, it was a bit scrappy. But our guys luckily were the first to react, and that's what matters. That's what matters. I wanna um, highlight this comment here from Gustavo saying Conte's secret to win is to change the formation when losing 4-1-4-1 to 4-3-3 or the other way around. And I think that's a great starting point, guys, because Conte started today with a 4-3-3 with Neres playing, with De Bruyne on the bench. And guys, in the end, in the first half, I don't think we had a shot on goal. I think it looked a little bit more fluid going forward. We had a lot more width. We had Mctominay more in the box. I think overall, I liked the 4-3-3 a bit more, but it's not like there was this massive change. So definitely, it's not really something to do with the formation. I think it's more something to do with the men on the field because let's face it, guys, we are a different team with and without Spinazzola on the field. As soon as he came on, it was totally different. He's the most informed guy that we have at the moment. Maybe Hojlund is up there, but Spinazzola, I think, even more consistently. And guys, the one game that he didn't play against Milan is the one that we lost. So, if we really want to connect the dots, why don't we start with the obvious? No, that when Spinazzola didn't play, Napoli didn't win. I think that's a clear lesson from the first 2 months of this season, guys. He's the difference maker at the moment. But yeah, let's talk about that goal from Ekator. Seems like Genoa have gotten the Balotelli region. Guys, that goal from Ekator was fantastic. 18 years old, but obviously it's another player that either we let them score on their debut or we resuscitate them from the dead. It's another goal that a team scores with a back heel. I mean, there's not that many back heel goals that get scored in football, and we've had this one. And last year we had Ndoye with Bologna that scored a back heel goal. So I don't know why, but we're very vulnerable to that. It's just crazy, I don't know if it's luck, the bad luck that we have, or I mean, how do you even defend against back heel goals? It's just something that we're conceding. I mean, it's weird enough to concede it once, to concede it twice in the space of, let's say, 6 months. That's a little bit weird, but yeah, we let Ekator score. I don't know when this guy's gonna get another goal, but obviously we do a bit of charity as well. No, while we play football, sometimes we like to score goals. Sometimes we like to do a bit of charity. It's what Napoli does. No, it's incredible, guys. It's really incredible. Rakul has a very cool point here. Sorry for the pun, man. But he says ever since Politano got subbed off, the team has been revived. Yeah, that was the moment that changed the game, guys. This moment where Politano, around the 50th minute of the game, got subbed off, it allowed Spinazzola to come on. Guys, imagine if Politano hadn't gotten injured. Maybe we would have never seen Spinazzola come on, right? So, because that moment allowed Conte to sort of make subs or forced Conte to make subs, even though he wasn't the direct replacement for Politano. It meant that Neres had to go to the right hand side. It meant that they then had to choose someone else to go on the left. We went back to a 4-1-4-1 with Mctominay on the left. We needed to change things around. Anyways, it allowed Spinazzola to come on the field, right? So yeah, I guess it was the right time. It allowed Spinazzola enough time to make an impact. He basically had the entire second half. As you guys were saying, Spinazzola is amazing, and Politano is too predictable. And look, I'm a big fan of Politano, right? In the sense that I think for the last 3 years, he's been one of the most instrumental players. He's a real workforce. And in some games I would start him. If we're playing against a very, very strong team going forward, then I feel safe having Politano there as well. But against Genoa, guys, the team that's last in the league, we definitely do not need that man on the field. What we need is someone that can make things happen going forward, because let's face it, we're not going to suffer that much going the other way. So, putting Politano there is essentially having 10 men against teams like Genoa. So, let's hope that Conte sees it. Let's hope that he doesn't just play Politano, like blanketly. I think he needs to start realizing that there's some games where he's more useful than other games where we just need to think about being the dominant team going forward and playing with our most talented players going forward and just overload the other teams. Um, so yeah, that's my thoughts on this whole Politano thing. Politano has three moves: cut inside and shoot, cut inside and cross, act like you're crossing on the right, but surprise the defense. Look, three moves, okay, that's really kind of all you need, that is really all you need, but you then just have to execute. The problem with Politano is that sometimes, after he's making those moves and he actually finds himself a yard of space, which is a very difficult thing to do, um, he, then tries to cross and it doesn't get past the first man. That's the problem. It's not so much his moves, it's the end product. It's a little bit the problem that we have on the right hand side at times, that it just takes an incredible amount of effort, a credible amount, a number of crosses for one of them to be dangerous. But look, in the end, he's he's had to be subbed off. It allowed more attacking-minded players onto the field, and like other people have said, we went back to a 4-1-4-1 in the end with De Bruyne, with Spinazzola. So it solved the mystery, right? It's not about the formations, it's about the men on the field, and definitely Spinazzola being there. And Politano leaving made the difference, because now all of a sudden you have Spinazzola making chances on the left, Neres making chances on the right, and regardless of the formation, you're just a much more dangerous team. A fellow Dom is in the house. What's up, Dom? First half, this team looked impaired. Oliveira, the word impaired cracks me up, man. I don't know why. Oliveira mistake got the goal. Soon as Neres shifted to the right and Spina came in, we balled out. Exactly, man. Exactly. 3 points as we still try to figure things out. Guys, by the way, big shout out to um, Dom here, who has been on the YouTube as well, with Tutto Calcio. So, guys, make sure to check it out. Always good to see fellow Napoli fans, doing content of their own. There's It's always good to have more people's opinions, no, flying around, and they're doing a really good job. I think you guys passed like 500 subs or something like that. So congrats on that. And another fellow content creator, Napoli Nation TV, welcome in the house, man. Says you have to play with 100% desire 100% of the time in Serie A, or you will be punished. And I guess you're insinuating that we didn't really have that in the first half, and I think that's fair. But yeah, in the second half it was there, and that's a little bit of frustrating thing, right? Is that when this team wants it more than the others, then with our talent, we should be able to win games comfortably. Helcom says horrible way to set up the team in the first half. Vanja didn't know whether to go short or long because their press was turning from zonal to man marking after the first half. Happy for the win. We move. It's a very interesting take. I didn't actually realize that, so I'll definitely be going back on the footage and trying to see if I make that sort of connection as well. I don't really think the issue started from Milinkovic Savic. I think it was more that we lacked a bit of quality because in the end, we didn't have chances in the first half, but it's not like we didn't get into the final third in a dangerous way. There were a few moments with Neres. So I I don't think I don't think it was like fundamentally wrong what we were doing. I think we just lacked a bit of quality, guys. And yeah, this point here from Paul de Rigan though is important. Sometimes we do just focus on the individual talent, and we should be doing more as a team. Vincenzo saying late to the show, but hopefully this game proves to everyone that the 4-1-4-1 with KDB and Spina is by far best 11 and shape. I I don't think it's a matter of shape. I liked how we were playing with a 4-3-3 as well. Thought we did create enough chances in the first half that with a bit more quality we could have done more. Um, it's just a matter of the people on the field. Like when you put a fresh Kevin De Bruyne against a team like Genoa, he's gonna be making the difference. When you put Spinazzola, who's been the best player this season, he's gonna make a difference. Um, I think it's more of a matter of getting the right and fresh people on the field more than the actual system. That's just my feeling though. But yeah, I think we've just not been so fresh at times this year. And because you missed the start of the show, as I said earlier, the one time Spinazzola didn't play the game, we lost against Milan. The other times we won every time. So yeah, there is a Napoli and Genoa friendship, right? Forza Napoli sempre, says Mike Ekstad. Yeah, there is. We were kind of like the two ultras were gemellati, like in Italian you say, which in English the direct translation is they were twinned. It just meant that they get along. They're like two twins. Um, but that's because we both came out of Serie B together back in '09, I believe it was, '07, '09. 08 maybe. I should know this off the top of my head. But anyways, we drew the last game. We both came up together on that day. We all celebrated on the field together. We were like this for maybe 10, 15 years. There was a moment where then relationships broke down, and since maybe a year or two, things are starting to get better between the two teams or the two sets of fans. And by the way, thank you a lot for the $2 donation. Always appreciate it. Napoli Nation TV says that Noah Lang must be struggling in training. I think he's not showing Conte enough guarantees. And look, I spoke about it last time. When he dribbles, he's often losing the ball, and it's very, very dangerous. Instead, count the number of times that Politano, Neres, Spinazzola, these other guys, count the number of times that they lose the ball per number of touches that they do, and count the number of times that when they lose the ball, the other team is able to transition right to our own half. You know, there's a mastery to losing the ball. I don't think Noah Lang has mastered this yet. Whenever he loses it, it's far too dangerous, and Conte does not want to take the risk. Vincenzo saying, I agree, Dom, 100%. It's just that this system is the one that allows our best players to be on at the same time. Fair enough. I think that's also true. That with this one, if you were to rank who our best players are, it would be the best. The only exception I would make is that for some games, I would much rather like to see Neres on for Politano against these like low block teams, and maybe Politano a bit more when we play against teams that have a threat going forward. Um, Pratyush Kumar says, could you give some info about how KDB played? We're getting Serie A broadcast in Asia. Yeah, I mean, he did really well when he came on. He immediately put Hojlund through on goal. It was slightly offside, actually, from KDB's own position. Took a corner that then Di Lorenzo hit the post. Um, just then instrumental in the second goal. Like he was really good, really good. What's up with Scott? It's a mystery at this point. Man, he's been playing every minute since last year. Then goes and plays with Scotland, and he's their best player, so he's got to give it everything. I think the guy is just burnt out, to be honest. But let's not forget that last year he had his most influential part of the season towards the end. So let's just hope that he puts on the afterburners um, at that point of the season again this year. Um, and look, as long as we're getting the 3 points, it's okay. But I'm sure that now Conte will start rotating the midfielders, and he will have to sit out at some point because he's got to recover. He's got to recover as well. Guys, let's go to the analysis of the game because I understand that maybe not many of you guys have watched the game live, or we want to go back and see some things just to put some of the conversation into context. So let me go into the analysis of the game, guys, because there's some interesting points, especially now that we went back to a 4-3-3 in the first half. But before I do that, let me just say huge thanks to Anthony Navarro, man. Thank you for the $5 donation. Really appreciate it. Spina is 2020 Euro form, no? Just a more matured, intelligent approach to his game. Actually, I was listening to the press conference after the game that Spinazzola was doing, and a journalist asked him kind of a similar question, like, are you back to your 2020 form? And Spinazzola, like in the most annoyed way possible, like he's like fully exasperated, was like, guys, enough with Euro 2020, enough talking about it. Everybody's always talking about 2020. That's not what like I'm a different player from that. I back then I was a lot more crazy. I just took the ball and dribbled, and now I'm a much more mature, intelligent person, as Anthony is saying. But also from a stats point of view, in terms of goals, assists, all that, I'm a much more complete player. Maybe even in terms of passing accuracy, etc. So um, yeah, I mean, but he really doesn't like people to talk about that. And thank you, Pratyush, for becoming a member of the channel. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Um, Lex says Politano also loses the ball. Yes, but he did that, for example, once today. He did a bad pass inside our own half, which was very dangerous. But normally Politano, when he loses the ball, it's more it never seems to make the other team counterattack. Whereas when Lang has lost the ball this season, even in preseason, it just, I don't know, like, if maybe it's coincidence, right? But it just always resulted in the other team being able to break. And I really do think that there is moments when you should and shouldn't dribble. Maybe I'll have to do like an entire video on that at some point and really go case by case and see if the numbers and the case studies match the first sort of impression that I have. Right, let's go into the analysis of the game, guys. So basically, what I want to show here is how even with the 4-3-3, we were dangerous. Look at this pass here that Hojlund did to Di Lorenzo, putting him through on goal. If Hojlund was able to weigh this pass better, Di Lorenzo would have been through on goal, maybe could have scored, would have been 1-0 within 10 minutes. And then we would be talking about the 4-3-3 system being great. So what I want to highlight here is that, the potential chances were there even with the old system. And with the old system, you actually get players like Di Lorenzo that are able to play, I think, to their strengths. Di Lorenzo is not a right back that knows how to cross the ball. He's not really someone that likes to go all the way to the bar line. He kind of stops as soon as he reaches the point in the box where the box starts. What he does like to do is get into the middle of the midfield and use his technique, and he sees the space quite well. So this kind of plays to his strengths, and we get this kind of extra striker at times. At times it's an extra midfielder. So there's elements of the 4-3-3 that actually, brings out the best in some of the players. There's this other element here where when Neres has the ball on the left and he's giving that width, it allows Mctominay to be in the box, right? Whereas in the 4-1-4-1 system, Mctominay is only able to come into the box when Politano has the ball on the right hand side, then he can squeeze in from the left. But when we play a 4-3-3, we have that option also when Neres has the ball, because now Mctominay is not occupying that left position. He can come in through the middle, and when you come in through the middle, you can do it depending on whether the ball is on the left or on the right. So again, there's moments where the 4-3-3 does give you a bit more going forward than the 4-1-4-1. And here, look, Politano should have scored. This is a pretty bad miss. I think the defender does just enough to touch the ball, but Politano should be doing better here. Skies it over the bar. This needs to be a goal, or at least get the shot on target. And this is what I was saying with Politano. Like he gets into really nice positions, like this moment here where he wrong foots the defender. I mean, look, the defender's body is completely, you know, badly positioned because he just feinted to the right, he went back to the left. Now he's a little bit ambidextrous, so people don't really know if he's going to go left or right. Once you're in this position and you have 6 Napoli players in the box, right? And 6 or 7 Genoa players as well, you should be doing much better here. This should have been a much more dangerous cross. Instead, I don't think it, if I remember correctly, it goes exactly where the arrow is, to the man right behind Anguissa, where the guy clears it, right? But again, when Politano loses the ball, he doesn't actually lose it dribbling. Like, the problem is when you lose the ball at this moment, when it's at your feet. Once the ball is crossed into the box, that's fair game, right? A defender clears the ball at that point, fine. At least you put the ball in the box. And, that's the whole point of the game. And the ball is also, first of all, by the time it travels, it's gone an extra 10, 15 meters forward. And then by the time the defender hits it out, it has to go another 10, 15 meters. So it takes 2 seconds, no? Which is 2 seconds for the defenders and the holding midfielder to kind of get ready, right? and you yourself, because you find yourself as a defender as well. If Politano loses the ball crossing here, he's actually in a better position to defend a potential counterattack because he's ahead of the ball. The problem is that sometimes the problem I see with Noah Lang is that sometimes he loses the ball when it's at his feet. When it's at the feet and you have the ball and the defender cuts across you and takes it from you, you are left stranded and the defender goes. So you cannot even defend your own loss of possession. And that's what I'm talking about, guys, when I say that there's ways to lose the ball. Losing the ball when you cross it forward is a much safer way to lose it than dribbling. So, guys, like these are the details that make the entire difference. That when you play in Italy, that you think about first defending then attacking. It's one of the things that coaches will tell you. They will teach you first how to lose the ball, and then they will teach you how to score. It's crazy, but that's just how it works. So let's move forward, guys. Again, talking about this 4-3-3 system, um, you know, it's interesting, right? Because when we play a 4-1-4-1, what we tend to think is that with the four midfielders, we have better control of the midfield. And again, I don't necessarily think that's true because even when we play a 4-3-3, we actually sometimes bring four or even five players into the midfield. In this case, you have our three midfielders, McTominay, Lobotka, and Gissa, and you have Di Lorenzo right there as well. You have Oliveira also cutting inside. So in the end, we still have numbers in the middle. Uh, so yeah, this whole thing, and I'm not trying to say that the 4-3-3 is better than the 4-1-4-1. I'm just trying to point out that even at the 4-3-3, and it was a bad first half, but even with a 4-3-3, we do have control of the midfield. We do create chances. We do this, we do that, we do that. Same things with the 4-1-4-1. It's all a matter of attitude. It's a matter of motivation. It's a matter of physically being better than the opponents and putting people that are fit and in shape and on form in the field. That's the difference. Not so much the numbers, because look, players will just find whatever space, anyways. Right. Let's move forward, guys. Let's go and speak a little bit about Hojlund's game. I thought in the first half, it was a bit difficult for him, but what he did really well was that he got the center back booked very early in the game on the 25th minute. And actually, it meant that in the second half, this guy had to be substituted. He got his replacement booked as well. And look, forcing Genoa to make a change on their center backs, because the guy risked getting a red card, is super important. Because look, in the end, we scored two goals in the second half, and maybe, without this yellow card, maybe Patrick Vieira leading 1-0, he could have even decided to bring on an extra center back and play both of them combined together, making it even more difficult for us to score. Instead, he had to take one off and bring the other guy on because he didn't want to risk a red card. So it's, again, little details that all lead up to us actually getting away with the 3 points. And Hojlund did super well in his fight here throughout the first half. Got this guy booked. And then he was telling his friends, look, it's minute number 28. He's telling his teammates, give the ball to me, give the ball to me. He's already on a yellow card. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, right? But he was saying it. The problem with this players today was that they weren't switched on. We didn't have the killer instinct in the first half because after Hojlund said this, actually they stopped giving him these kind of balls where he was having to fight, and forcing the foul. And it's kind of rule number one, guys. When someone gets a yellow card, you go and you consistently take that guy on because he might get the ball once, twice, three times, but on the fourth time he's going to make a foul and he's going to get a second booking. But we didn't do that. We don't have at times that killer instinct that I think we need to have. That cazzimma, guys, the famous Neapolitan word cazzimma that not even Italians know how to translate it, but I will teach it to you. It's exactly this. That it's that kind of cheekiness with a bit of malice, let's say, that you need to get what you want. Okay, that's Katzima. And Napoli Nation TV is agreeing. No, exactly. Attitude, Dom. No killer instinct until the second half. Yeah, I think that's the main problem. Payman Dadgar in the house says, Buonasera, Capolista. What a game. Horrible first half. Oliveira and Neres were unwatchable. McFratema also sucked. De Bruyne, world class today. Hojlund, the real deal. And Spina continues to be top. I think that's a pretty good, pretty good summary. Um, Neres unwatchable is a bit of an interesting one because I thought, he was making things happen a little bit. But yeah, Oliveira. Guys, Oliveira this year, very bad, very, very bad. Doesn't offer anything going forward. I wouldn't say that the goal was entirely his fault. I think Genoa's goal was honestly very good. Like very good and very difficult to defend against. I think if we had scored a goal like that, we wouldn't be talking about their defenders being bad. We would be saying, "Oh my God, what a dribble by, Neres or whatever," and "Oh my God, what a back heel by Hojlund." Like we would be gassing up our guys so much if we had scored that. So, I want to be objective and I don't want to throw people kind of under the bus for no reason. So I'm not going to blame Oliveira or our defense for the goals that we conceded. But what I will say is that Oliveira did not do enough going forward. Is he potentially our worst player so far this season? I think he's the one that has regressed the most. And I think we spoke about it last time out that he's the one most at risk of being not even a backup, but a third choice. I mean, it's so obviously clear that Spina and even Gutierrez are miles ahead. So yeah, it's tough for Oliveira. Right now, let's get to that goal. No, this is the goal that was conceded. Look, he gets done by here, but I mean the guy just puts the ball into the space and runs after it, right? I mean it's a great dribble. He had the space to do it, and there's very little that Oliveira could have done here. I think it's just a great piece of skill, and then that back heel of Belkema, very difficult to defend there. So I think he did. I think he was positioned well. He had his defender in check, back to goal. Um, if the other guys do something world class, you just have to applaud them. I think. Um, then there was these injuries. No, Lobotka. Hope he gets better, and Politano, and the game finally changed, and Spinazzola came on, and this was very important. This Milinkovic Savic threw ball all the way to Spinazzola, who controls it, gets past his man, or finds a bit of space, puts the ball in a dangerous area. Really bad defending here by Genoa, I gotta say. I mean, there's two very dangerous players in the box. One of their defenders is walking the other way. He's about to go grab a hot dog. He's only one of them is left, keeping our two guys way on side. I mean, Genoa is last for a reason, guys. But after a bit of a melee in the box, Anguissa comes in and puts it in the back of the net, and Napoli wake up a little bit. We have that chance with Di Lorenzo, and then finally we get the second goal again with Spinazzola starting the action from midfield this time. Ball goes to De Bruyne, puts in a quality ball with his left foot. And again, after a bit of scrappiness in the box, Hojlund gets the goal, right place, right time. And that's what you want from your striker, guys. And this is my player ratings. I know you guys are always looking out for, what am I going to put out in my player ratings? Maybe you'll be surprised to see that no one actually gets a red. So maybe some of you guys were thinking Oliveira red. I already explained why I don't think the goal is necessarily his fault. I'm only going to put red to someone if their performance caused a, a net negative on us. I don't think Oliveira is that. I think he provided very little, but I just feel like I can't give him less than a 6. I don't think it was like I don't think he made a mistake. You see what I mean? But overall, guys, I think everybody was kind of like that. Everybody didn't really make a mistake, but they didn't really offer anything going forward or going extra. Even Anguissa, he gets this point 0.5 because he got the goal. So I can't give him like the others. I mean, he was decisive, but without the goal, he would have also been a 6, right? It was like you have to consider also the opposition that we're up against. If this was against Real Madrid, everybody would be getting a 7, a 7.5. But it's against Genoa, guys. We should be winning this 2-3-0 in the first half. The people should be taking much more responsibility. So, guys, yeah, this is something that we can't give out green scores unless you really stood out. And for me, 4 players stood out today, guys. It was Hojlund, a little bit Anguissa because of the goal, but it's more of a political extra 0.5. So maybe 3 players stood out: Hojlund, Spinazzola, and De Bruyne. Hojlund because of what he did with throughout the game, wrestling the defenders, getting 2 center backs booked, scoring the goal in the end. Could have scored another goal if it wasn't for De Bruyne being offside, so not Hojlund being offside. So this guy is looking sharp, and that's what we want to see. De Bruyne came on, brought in a lot of quality with his crosses, with his corners, with his passing. Very, very good. And Spinazzola, he changed the game. I mean, he was the X factor alongside the other two as well. I would actually the only thing I would change is maybe Milinkovic Savic. I would give him maybe a 7 because he didn't get an assist, but maybe that first goal was to some extent also thanks to him. Um, Maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but actually, he did that kind of consistently, finding the right players going forward. If I had to change anything here, looking back and thinking a bit more about it, I would put Milinkovic Savic maybe as a 7 for that. Some of you guys are saying that Zambo should be higher. Zambo 8 today, bro. Um, I I don't see it. Like I don't really see the 8. Uh, Again, you have to consider you're playing against the worst team on the league. Uh, so I don't see us like where was he in the first half? I don't know what did Anguissa do in the first half. And in the second half he was there at the end of a scrappy moment in the box. But there wasn't that much quality. In fact, there was a moment in the first half where I'm sorry, but I had to like shout at him because the ball was coming to him in midfield and he tried a little flick in the middle of the field to nobody. And we're losing 1-0 and he's playing little flicks. It's like not the time. So I'm not gonna give Anguissa an 8. Maybe we can negotiate for a 7, but like Oli's is saying, we can negotiate a 7, but I'm not giving the guy an 8. No, because there's other times when he was an 8, and it would be disrespectful to those performances. Um, so let's all remember how good Anguissa can actually play. When he wants to be an eight, we will all be in agreement when he's in an eight. But seven, maybe yes. Seven, maybe yes. Guys, interestingly, now let's go and see uh, who has been doing well so far in the Napoli Talk predictor game. So when we take a look at September, I love this app. It's so easy for me to use. So when we take a look at September, Ranga won with 31 points. Okay, and we're scheduling. I managed to, for all of you guys wondering, I did manage to get in touch with Ranga on Twitter. He's Napoli Club Indonesia, so check him out. So now we're scheduling about when to do a video together, because the winner every month we do a video, and for me it's super easy with this website to actually do things. By the way, they have an app. It's called Superbru Football. It's a purple icon, and the app is really great. Like, I love using the app. But for you guys, I'll show you guys the web version because I'm on my computer. But anyways, when I go to the all the rounds, so everything together, he's still first. But if I go on just this round, or actually, yeah, this round here, da, da, da. Let's look at just October, right? So it's basically just today. um TB2298 is winning with 7 points. Matteo is second with 6. So congrats to them. So there's competition, guys. There's competition. Me, I'm not so good, guys. I have 4 points this round, and in the overall standings, I'm number 8. So yeah, uh, not great, not great. So, but anyways, we still have the Milan Juve game to take a look at. So, but guys, join the game if you want. You guys know by now how to do it. Scan the QR code there, become a member of the channel, also link in the description, and all the details are there. And if you have any questions, you guys just reach out to me. Dom, you are stinking up the room with your Superb Brew predictions. Yeah, man. Um, anyways, so guys, let's see what what Napoli. Let's see what Milan and Juve are up to. You guys have been awfully quiet about that game. I guess it's 0-0. It seems like Juve are a little bit further ahead. Like let's put this up here. Well, it's horrible, this view, but yeah, it's let's see if I can zoom in a bit more and show you guys. No, that's too much. That's a horrible view. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Juve with 4 shots, but Milan with a bit more possession. Let's just hope that it stays that way. 0-0 would be incredible for us. The game has been really boring. That's good. I mean, two very, very boring teams, guys. I mean, we lost to Milan, fine, but they didn't impress me. I think it was more that we were not at our best. We were not at our full potential. We had the problems in the back. We didn't have Spinazzola. It wasn't to be. And they got a goal very, very early in the game. So yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Jesus in great shape the past year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I can't stand seeing him play so much. This is pure. This is like, this is the definition of what it means to be a hater. Like, basically saying the guy's playing well, but I just hate him. This is yeah. What is the cap by my username? I think it means that you are the person with the most points in the last round. So last week you scored the most points. So it's a good thing. And then if you have a spoon next to your name, it means you were the worst. So you don't want the spoon. Um, but yeah, guys, let's see what Antonio Conte had to say. No, I mean we are now more than an hour, I think, after the game, so he should be having his press conference. So let's see what he had to say. All right. First of all, they ask him how Lobotka and Politano are. And then they say, the journalists also talk about, two sides of the game. There was a first half that went one way and a second half that went the other. And Conte says, it annoys me when we go and talk about individual players. It's never nice um, for the other people in the group, neither when we speak highly of them, neither when we have to criticize them. We need to be more in equilibrium. We need to find it. I understand, though, that in Naples this is a bit difficult, but I always want to speak about the team and never about the players. In the first half, we did have difficulty because we didn't take full advantage of the wingers on the outside. Their goal really hurt us. In the second half, the team demonstrated that um, in the second half, the team demonstrated that we were able to um, change things around. And Yeah, there was only one team that pushed until the very end, even though we played on Wednesday. We found more energy. We were able to deal with the situation, and the players know it. So yeah, Politano had a bit of a affaticamento, which in Italian in English translates to like kind of tiredness of the muscle. Like it's a word they use not when there's like a strain, but it's like when the muscle is overworked. So that's what Politano has. Lobo had something in his like pubic area. So those ones are actually very, very tricky to recover from, and they can get progressively worse if you don't treat them. So let's hope that, Lobo can fully dedicate this next few weeks to resting. It's a great thing that we have the international break. And then they ask him about, the formations in the second half and all that. And he says, look, we have two very consolidated ways of playing. One is with the four midfielders, but you need a particular player to play that formation. I think he's talking about Spinazzola. The other one is the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1. With the four midfielders, you have um, a bit more passing in the midfield. With the 4-3-3, you have a bit more options down the wing. And in the first half, we weren't good enough to take advantage of that. And about the goal that we conceded, is that, we always need to be balanced between the two phases. And we need to do better. And in the halftime, I said something tactical to the players that we needed to attack their line very high, and we did that. And the changes brought on the necessary improvements. So that's Conte, guys. I think that yeah, it's going to be a difficult season, guys. It's going to be a difficult season because we don't have a team that is, I think, set up necessarily for so many competitions. Maybe from a numbers point of view, we are, but from a kind of getting used to it, we're not. This team went a full year without playing European competitions, so it's gonna take some time. It's different ways of working, different types of recovery, different training during the week. So it's going to be difficult. Um, so yeah, look, from a numbers point of view, we do have the right players, but the methods are different, right? And they got to get used to it. And Conte has to get used to utilizing these players in a more effective way. I think Neres started way too late the first game of the season. Spinazzola should have never not played against Milan. I don't think he was injured. I think he just wanted to rest him for the game against Sporting, but in my opinion, it was more critical to play him against Milan. So there's these things that we just need to fix and adapt. And Conte has to go through the learning process himself, you know? If he really wants to take European football seriously this year, then he's got to improve because other times he's always focused on the Serie A and he's always thought of other competitions as kind of an annoyance. And now he's got to do both. Why? Because he wants to do both because he wants to get that sort of stigma around him off. He doesn't want to be seen as only a Serie A or a league type of coach. He wants that European success. I think he knows that if he really wants to be in the conversation of the best coaches, he's got to now prove something in the Champions League. So that's why he's putting importance on that league. But now he's got to learn how to treat both because I don't think he's ever done that before in a proper way. Uh, David just slipped in a clear chance for Juve. On God, he's terrible, says Helcom. So yeah, good thing that we got Hojlund, I guess. Hey Dom, do you know when the new training center is going to be done? It's always a bit of a mystery, this one here. So in theory, well, not in theory, but according to De Laurentiis a few months ago, this was supposed to be the last year because then the contract runs out of the one that we're at. Um, we haven't started building the new one, so it's going to be very very difficult for us to have a new training ground next year, which means that probably they'll have to find some other kind of agreement again on this one for next year. It's always going to be delayed. It's a mess. It's a mess, but probably it deserves a video on its own. And we'll talk about it for sure. I think it's a very interesting topic, and why not spend a bit of time one day making an entire video on that and maybe the stadium. Okay, guys. With that, I'm going to call it a day. Let's hope that Milan and Juve continue to not offer any kind of entertainment. Let's hope it stays 0-0. And with that, guys, I'm going to end it here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend if it's still Sunday for you. If it's Monday, enjoy your week. And as always, guys, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.